Hey friends, Toshin here, walking through South Brooklyn. I want to make some videos today, and I thought I would make one or two updates about different endeavors that I'm on about. In this one, I want to talk about visual art. I've been doing Inktober again this month, and I've done Inktober every year since I believe 2021. So that's my fifth year doing this. 2021, 2022, 23, 24, and 25. So that's 5 years. This is my fifth year doing it. And I really have enjoyed setting aside the month of October each month to make a drawing every day and to deepen my visual art practice. And, you know, I've really grown since I started making visual art regularly in 2021, and you know, I've gotten a lot better with Procreate, and I'm able to illustrate my own blog posts and make cool art that I'm proud of. And I'm still very new to visual art. My skills are still very basic. Some of the more complex drawings that I've made are really built on tracing, like tracing reference photos in Procreate. And I have the aspiration to keep improving my skills over time, and so Inktober is a great way to do that. And I did not do that much drawing this year. There were months where I didn't really draw anything, and it just hasn't felt as alive this year as other things. And so going into it, I was like, what am I going to do with Inktober this year? And I do want to do it. It does feel like a yes. And initially I had the intention of working on the book Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, which I've read a couple of times and have done some of the exercises from, but I've never done the whole thing. And I don't know, that would be a really valuable set of skills to grow, because my drawing skills are pretty low. They're not that great, and I would really value being better at that. I also read another book by the author of that book earlier this year that was about like which hemisphere is dominant and seeing that through the eyes. And it was such a cool book, and I think she is so brilliant and so good at explaining things and so interesting. And so that was part of the background motivation. And when push came to shove, when it actually came down to it, I just didn't really feel like doing that. It wasn't fun. It wasn't enlivening. It felt like I was sort of forcing myself. And I've had this happen a few times before where I kind of get, I guess I understand it as like, there's something I care about, and I get this kind of like left brain top down idea of how I'm going to improve or what I'm going to work on. And then it just isn't fun. And this happened a few times with fiction for me, for example. And it's like, this just ain't it, chief. And there were 2 days early in the month where I actually just didn't draw anything, and I didn't feel like drawing. I guess also a contributing factor was that earlier this year I sprained my hand, and I have much more mobility in it, but like when I physically write with my right hand now, it kind of hurts a little bit, and it hasn't healed perfectly. And I hope that I'll be able to get it to heal so that it doesn't hurt when I use it. But yeah, it's a little bit painful to draw right now, and a little painful to physically write, especially if I do a lot of it. And that's kind of unfortunate. And that was a contributing factor as well. But also it's just like, I don't want to do this top down, like, even though it would be good to be able to draw in that way, it just didn't feel alive, and it didn't feel fun, and it felt like something I thought I should do rather than something I genuinely in my body wanted to do. And thankfully, I'm glad I took the 2 days off. You know, in every other year of Inktober, I'm pretty sure I've done every single day. But on the third day of that, I woke up, and in the morning I had this insight, and it immediately made me jump out of bed and like make 4 drawings in a row. So I've made way more drawings now because of this insight that I had. And it kind of came from rereading Unflattening by Nick Susanis. And I first read this book in, I believe, 2019. Malcolm Ocean turned me on to it. And I know it's been a really big influence on him. It's also been a really big influence on Sylvia, who's, of course, such an inspiration for me. And I wanted to reread it because I'm doing some research into Malcolm's non-naive trust dance. And I knew that it was a big influence on the non-naive trust dance. So I was rereading it and I was taking notes. Really helpful to take written notes on that book because it's so dense and there's so much happening. And it's like kind of easy in my experience to like read that book without really digesting the meaning of it. And so I have 2 pages of notes now that are like my own summary of what the ideas are about and what the meanings are. But there's so many wonderful pages in that book. Such a beautiful book, such an inspiring book. But there are 2 pages that really shook up my visual art practice in a really significant way, which I forget the page numbers. If I had it with me, I'd look it up. But basically, he makes the claim that words and images go better together, and that drawing is a form of thinking, that we can usefully see drawing as a way to think, not just a way to visually represent ideas or to express oneself, but actually as an activity of thinking. And that just kind of cracked an artificial division in my mind, where I think in the past drawing has been a mode of visual expression for me, where I am trying to make visual art that I find beautiful, that represents my ideas in a way that other people will find inspiring and beautiful, that I can use in my writing or in my projects or whatever. And that's perfectly good. I still want to do that. I illustrated a blog post the other day, but that just didn't really feel like the thing this year. And an important part of that feedback loop actually in the past has been like external validation, where I make something that I think is cool and then I post it on Twitter, and then other people are like, wow, that's great. And that makes me want to keep going because other people are like, yeah, this is cool. I mean, encouragement, right? I encourage other people all the time, and no surprise, I'm also fueled by encouragement from other people. So anyway, something about connecting drawing with thinking just like cracked something open in my mind. And what I felt called to make were basically mind maps. And I made several mind maps that day, and I made a bunch since then. And I've kind of found this routine that works really well for me, where I've got this notebook that I got recently. It's kind of a smaller notebook. It's like a medium notebook, not too big, not too small. And it's blank pages, which are great for drawing. And what I'll do is I'll notice what I'm thinking about, what I'm reflecting on, and then I'll write it down in words on the left side of the page and make a diagram that I connect all these nodes, and it looks like a mind map. And like, say I'm thinking about movement practice, for example, then I would draw that. I made this one today. I would make one for strength and for cardio and for integration, and then draw to that, body weight strength training and running and Tai Chi and whatever, and make a diagram and then make arrows between them or little symbols. And then once I've done that, optionally, usefully, I can make written observations on the right side of the page about what I'm thinking about these things. And there are already thoughts that I was having, but seeing them with the connections that I've made and the visual reflection of what it is that I'm thinking about really makes the thoughts so much richer and denser and more meaningful. And so I've probably made 20 or 30 of these this month, and I'd like to keep making them. I want that to be the focus for this month. It's really easy to make a lot of them, and I notice I'm thinking better. I'm thinking better thoughts that are more useful, that are more inspiring. And it's nice because it's sort of like there was an artificial distinction between drawing and writing, and I've obviously put so much skill points into writing and speaking and thinking, but that felt very verbal to me. And I love verbal thinking. I love verbal reasoning, but I was sort of it was sort of separate in my mind from visual art and drawing and expression in that form. And connecting them has been so powerful. I feel like every year that I've done Inktober, I've had this insight that my favorite pieces are the ones that combine visual art with words. But all of that in the past was within the context of expression and trying to represent my ideas or share something that I feel in visual art in a way that expresses it. And this is actually just for me and just for my thinking. And I've taken pictures of some of these. You can see them in my media tab on Twitter. But it's really first and foremost for me, and it feels more like a private act to think in this way and to reflect in this way. And I notice I don't actually really need validation in the same way that I have in the past. I love validation and I love encouragement, but it's just like, yeah, no, this is just me thinking. And it's also great because on the writing side, all of the work that I've done with tweets in particular are really available. And I basically do bullet points that are tweet length about whatever it is that I'm thinking about. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying this process, and it feels very enlivening and very resonant and very useful. And, it feels like a joyful way to deepen my drawing practice, my visual art practice at this time, as well as my writing and my thinking. And it feels like it's really serving me, and I don't have to coerce myself or put in effort to making myself do it. It just happens. I don't know. I've probably made like 5 today. And yeah, I'd still like to get better at a lot of drawing skills. And this has made me want to get better at iconography, actually, or like symbols, where I want to have recurring symbols for specific ideas or topics that I keep coming back to. But yeah, and I'm sure I'll come back to the drawing on the right side of the brain stuff at some point. But yeah, for now, this is what's alive, and I'm really enjoying it and grateful for having this time and this habit of doing Inktober, where it's like I'm already in the momentum of every October doing this. It's not that effortful. And right now this only takes 5 or 10 minutes a day to do. It's really not that much time. So I've got time for it. And it's very rewarding. I don't know. I'm excited about all the things I'm thinking about and how they're connected. And I feel like it's really going to pay off in the long term to cultivate my ability to think in this way and to represent my ideas in this way and to do writing based on this mode of thinking. And I can already see it planting lots of little seeds that are already sprouting, and I think they'll sprout even more in the future. So that's my visual art practice right now. Wanted to share that. Hope you are doing well wherever you are, and I'm sending you love. Take care.